People ask a certain someone why, a few people ask a certain someone why he keeps maintaining for 8 years that he doesn't know who I am. There's a chance that he wouldn't have remembered me, but I mean, I've been here for 7 years. Proved that I was there amongst a dozen or so people when he met Bill Maloney, Ben Fellows and John Wedger for the first time. You should keep asking the person that question. I mean, they seem a bit worried about acknowledging my existence. You know, don't want to have a conversation with me for some reason. They are a big tough gangster though, you know. They don't put up with no shit, yeah. They're not frightened to fucking send me an email. But they would still talk to Bill Maloney, Ben Fellows or John Wedger. Well, that's maybe because they're on one side and I was on the other side. I wasn't on the side of Bill Maloney, Ben Fellows and John Wedger. I never have been. They know that. And Brian Harvey knows that as well, which is maybe why he doesn't acknowledge my existence. Frightened of what I might ask him. Frightened about what I might know. So, a couple of years ago, a bit more than a couple of years ago, I got contacted by somebody on Twitter called Another View. I had a 7-hour conversation with them. They were fishing. Of course, I have no idea who I was talking to. A little bit like Kelly Diamond popped over recently to contact me. Fishing. Apparently, Kelly Diamond says I wasn't talking to her. I just pulled a couple of tweets out of this 7-hour conversation. From August the 20th, 2019. Do you know if anything else has happened to you since meeting Bill that might be down to them? Never, ever, ever tell people everything you know. Never. Did I make the connections? Did I join the dots? I'll tell you something. Some people did something very, very stupid a long time ago. 30 years ago, to be precise. About 1990. I'm not supposed to remember it, but I do. It was people trying to shut me up. Talking about my experiences of being abused as a child. I'm not supposed to remember the thing, you see, but I do, and they know that I remember. People know I know what. And they might be worried. They would definitely be worried if I remembered it. I'm not supposed to remember it. "30 years ago, some of those people were in a lot of danger. Puddett used to be the head of crisis communications for the Palace, did he? Yes, and do you know what crisis communications is? No. Let's take the Prince Andrew story at the moment. Okay, his job would have been to smooth it over, let's say. Okay, that makes sense to me. Whether there's any truth in it, I don't know. But that's how things work. 30 years ago, I first started talking about being abused as a child. I've not shut up about it since. And that's because for 30 years I was silenced about it. And then I found my voice. So I was in a place where I tried to report all of the abuse I'd had as a child. And I was prevented by the prison from doing that. We had a bit of a falling out over that. I still talked about some of the abuse I'd had in my group therapy sessions, but I was careful not to give that much information away. I was raped by a female friend who was a friend. An incident completely came from nowhere. This rape. A man being raped by a woman is, I don't know how common that is. But she'd been my friend, and she'd been my friend for a couple of years. Her and her boyfriend, we spent every day together pretty much. And there'd never been any suggestion of anything like it. The timing of it was a bit odd. A lot of grooming stuff going on. And I lived in a squat. And the actress Koo Stark lived a couple of doors down. And she started having a relationship with Prince Andrew. And I got raped by this friend. While there was a lot of grooming behaviours going on leading up to it. I talked about that in my therapy group, how I'd been raped by a woman when I was really trying to commit suicide and failed. I was completely out of it, really. You could say I imagined it, dreamt it, something like that. But she left me a note. So I woke up the next day to this note, having failed in an attempt at killing myself. And the note told me and confirmed that what some people like to say I dreamed or was some kind of like fucking hallucination actually happened. So there I am, a couple of doors down from where Prince Andrew's staying the night, getting raped by a woman. Don't know whether he had anything to do with it. Or do I? How would you feel about me speaking to Brian about it? I'm fine with you speaking to Brian about it. I tried to myself because I didn't want him to get taken in, and because we have had similar experiences. You know, that's the stalking, harassment, the fucking about of your life. Sometimes someone else can help a penny drop. Yeah. Because me and Brian, we had the same kind of harassments, really. Okay, I can't say whether or not he will be interested or whether he will want to speak to you, but if he does, I will let you know. I'm not that bothered either way. I'm curious as to why it took him so long to suss things out, especially as he spent so much time with Maloney and I didn't need to. I met Maloney a few times. Followed what he did online. Big question mark over him. A lot of people were asking questions about Maloney back in 2012. As far as I'm concerned, he really didn't have very much credibility come 2013. Of course, Brian was in on the thing that they were doing with Andrew Ash. He was there. He was in on it. He must have seen what was going on behind the scenes. So how did I think Bill Maloney was a fucking wrong 'un? And somebody else couldn't work it out. Maloney is an actor too. I know. Do you know, I suspect the state has its own acting school that uses ex-prisoners. You think? No, I don't think. I know. I know. And I've had a very close, intimate relationship with somebody that runs a drama school for ex-prisoners, who works in prisons and has a drama project outside of it. I'm going to give Brian a call. Okay, see what he says. To be honest, it might create more paranoia if he talks to me, and I would rather it was for a solution than more rabbit holes to get lost in. YouTube loves giving people rabbit holes. Every nutter, conspiracy nutter on YouTube, getting on a conspiracy channel, muddying the waters with every conspiracy under the sun. So maybe he's scared about the paranoia speaking to me might make for him. Maybe that's why he doesn't talk to me. I'm a genuine victim who asked Maloney for some advice. I found out he was disingenuous. I made a few posts and got threats and harassment. I started calling him out on his bullshit on social media, and then I got threatened to fuck. Tried reporting the threats. Police, nah. I'm not a YouTuber. I've got to tell you, YouTube has no interest in people trying to get any kind of social justice or expose any kind of truths about what might actually be happening in the world. This is not a game, and he interacts with people trying to make a name for themselves. Well, he does. He interacts with everybody except me. Pie's eye goat geezer in Australia who can't know a fucking thing. It was good for the view count though, that back and forth bullshit. All these characters doing the circuit with the other channels. Just me in one little corner all on me Todd. Yeah, people do use him. See it in his comments all the time. Using him. And those people do have a vested interest in creating more paranoia and more rabbit holes. I see you're out there doing it. I wonder if Brian really contacted Maloney off his own back, or if there was more to it than that. Oh, we've had a skip in the messages here. This is to do with the other thing. True, but at the same time, genuine victims have gone to these people and it's made things worse instead of helping. That's absolutely true. I think that's why Bill Maloney didn't want me hanging around, because I'd see through his bullshit, and he knew I was seeing through his bullshit. People do go to people like Maloney because there is no real help, and there isn't. Brian believes algorithms sent him to Maloney. Brian may well be right. Do you know what a psychodrama is? No. You can look it up, but it's sort of what Maloney does. I bet they never looked it up. Don't understand it, even if they did look it up. Maloney seems to have directed Brian away from what his focus should have been on. That's an absolute truth, that is. Like when he told Brian about being on a hit list, etc. Creating paranoia. It's people creating a drama around someone's life like a little play. And when I was doing therapy in this jail, they had the country's leading therapist doing psychodrama. And basically you get a group of people together, and somebody gets picked in that group to go through an event in their childhood, to relive it. And the other members of the group play different characters. I think the idea is so that you can emotionally go back to traumatic events and relive them. In a safe environment. And in that way you can heal a bit. But also it can be used for bullshit. You know, street theatre. Creating paranoid dramas in somebody's life. So that when that person starts talking about it to somebody who wasn't there, the person's going to go, that sounds a bit fucking crazy. This person's a bit fucking paranoid. Of course, the paranoid events really happened, but when you repeat it to other people, you'll just sound like a paranoid nutter. Psyops. I bet this is a fucking long video, isn't it? Oh. Do you think you're a psychopath? Well, as some of you know, it says so on my medical file. I don't think you do, and as I said, I take people as I find them. Yeah, a bit like me really. If you listen to the gaslight vid, that's a video I did about gaslighting, you know it doesn't matter what I think, because the minute you label somebody a psychopath, they have no credibility and nobody believes a word they say. How's that for silencing somebody? Let's be fair. They've been trying to do it to me for 30 years. Silence me. The whole point of gaslighting is to make someone doubt themselves, and it's happening to Brian. And me. I'm exposing bits at a time, not just what you're saying, there is stuff elsewhere. Okay, and I don't buy you. You don't trust me, you mean? That's fine, I understand. Been chatting for 7 hours. Chatting for 7 hours. And really all they were doing was just trying to get information out of me. Anyway, whether this person knew Brian or was Brian or told Brian about me, it was over 2 years ago. So the fact that Brian Harvey is still saying up to recently that he has no fucking idea who Paul the fucking man is, is bollocks, people. Cheers.